Welcome back, everyone, to the Geeks, Geezers, and Googlization Show, the home of Googlization Nation, where we talk with HR and business thought leaders about the crazy shift going on all around us and explore the disruptive convergence of technology, business, and people. Here are your hosts, Ira Wolfe and Jason Cochran.
Hey, welcome back, everyone, to a special live stream of Geeks, Geezers, and Googlization. We are a show from the People Forward Network, and I'm Ira Wolfe.
And I'm Jason Cochran. Thank you for being part of Googlization Nation. If you are not already a member of our growing community to help put people first, please join us. It's completely free. All you have to do is go to googlizationnation.com to sign up and learn more.
And if you're not a subscriber to our Geeks, Geezers, and Googlization podcast, we hope you'll take a few minutes and go check us out. Each week, we interview some very, very special guests like Mark Efron, Gad Lebanon, Laura Sokola, Sarah McVannell. Those were just a few from the past few weeks.
Yep, they're absolutely fire episodes. Then this week, we have two more incredible episodes dropping. On Wednesday at 1 o'clock Eastern Time, we will be live with Greg Verdino, and we're going to be talking about thriving in the never normal. Ira, this one's going to be right up your alley. And then on Thursday, we're going to be dropping our episode with Dr. Joe Sirio on all of his learnings dealing with the Russian mafia and how he now takes that to help leaders overcome their fears.
Yeah, this one's going to be tough to beat. When we're talking about, vodka, hookers, and the Russian mafia is Joe's new book. So, and it's really talking about fear, overcoming fear, which is so timely today. And, then the day before that, we're going to be talking with Greg Verdino about living in the never normal, which is my theme. But that leads us right into why we're having this special episode. You and I, in just 2 weeks, we're going to be at the Indiana conference. Let me take that down. We're going to be at the Indiana Chamber of Commerce HR conference. This is my third or fourth year, and we've got Jennifer George, who is in charge of that, director of the Chamber's Director of Business Education and Events. So certainly right up our alley. Just planning an event these days is never normal, right, Jennifer?
No, it's not. That's what we were just talking about before we started. We can't quite figure out what's happening. It seems to keep changing. So, but thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
And that's our theme. I mean, we've been talking about that the last few weeks. We've been talking about, is it going to be back to work? It's really not back to work. Many of us never left work. In fact, it's become 24/7 work for many, many people, over the last 3 years. But it's back to is it back to the office? Is it fully remote? Is it hybrid? And, really didn't think about that until we were talking right before the show. But it's really talking about even a conference, even meetings. Is it back? Is it back in person? Is it remote? Fully digital, or is it hybrid? And every event is going through this reiterations. But before we get there, this is the 58th year, which is quite a record for any conference. 58th year for an HR conference. Tell our listeners a little bit about it.
Sure. So yeah, it's the 58th year. Obviously, I haven't worked every single one of those, but I've done the last 20 or so. So we just want to be, the purpose of our conference is we want to be the trusted source of compliance information for Indiana business. As mentioned, it's been going on for 58 years. And each year, my main job with the conference is the agenda, developing the agenda and working with the speakers, working and selecting the speakers. So what I strive to do is bring the most current topics, the most relevant topics each year for the HR community. So there's been a big change in those topics over the last 20 years. When I first started working on this agenda, it was a lot of compliance, a lot of employment law and regulatory compliance type topics. And this year, we're seeing it's kind of shifting actually to more leadership and culture type topics. We still have a lot on here about compliance because that's always important. Anybody that's watching that's in HR knows the importance, of FMLA and wage and hour laws and benefits. But also, we have some topics about empathy and unconscious bias and, leading your hybrid workforce. And so, yeah, there's definitely been a shift in terms of the types of topics that we have had on the agenda for the last, 58 years for sure, but definitely the last 20.
And Jennifer, with that shift with the topics, because of what we're seeing in the markets and businesses now, has that been more of a challenge for you and in your team that puts together the conference, or has it been more on the other end of, hey, this is exciting that we're now getting into more of the human elements and pieces of things?
So I think it's really exciting. I've always strove to put those type of topics on the agenda. We offer tracks. And so just about every year I would try to have at least one track, or a track, I should say, with at least 4 sessions on this kind of culture and leadership topic. But it was always kind of a struggle to find those. The vast majority of our speakers were experts in regulatory compliance. Now, I wouldn't say it's made my job any easier or harder. There just are a lot more topic submissions when we're seeking them that are about culture and leadership than there used to be. It's become much more of a, I don't want to say accepted topic, but for example, we offer continuing education credits through SHRM and HRCI. And in the past, it's been a little difficult to kind of get continuing education for some of those quote unquote softer topics. And it's not so difficult anymore. That's becoming a little bit more accepted as a big part of the HR field, I think.
That's great to hear about that parity, because I'm sure just like you, most of what I hear is these are the kind of challenges right now that businesses are going through. And so to hear that, the conference is able to offer those continuing education credits now for things that traditionally maybe wouldn't have been given that credit is, I think, a very exciting change. And just another added bonus for people to come and participate in the event.
Right. I totally agree with that.
Oh, you're on mute, Ira.
Yep. Doing too many things in the background, engineering this as well. Multitasking, right? The never normal. So, hey, Jennifer, I think just for anybody who's interested as well, you offer credits for this too, for SHRM credits?
We do. We offer HRCI and SHRM continuing education credits. And I think this year, 8 of the HRCI credits are business, which is something that I know a lot of our HR professionals, that kind of credit that they are needing to get. So I forget the exact number off the top of my head, but all that can be found on the website. So
I know that's really important for a lot of people. If you can highlight, so I as I was looking through the list, as you mentioned, there's a lot of people talking about from certainly compliance, regulatory, from the legal side. It's sponsored by one of the local the firms,
right?
Law firms. Can give you an example. Can you kind of share what some of the more popular themes are this year? Some of the more popular sessions you see people signing up for?
Right. So I was looking at the topics that people have selected the most for their personal agendas in our conference app this year. And out of the top 10 selected, about half of them fall into that culture area. And the other half are compliance. And then there's a couple that I think might be a little bit of both. For example, the highest selected session right now is called Coaching or Feedback, Simple Models for Both Conversations. The second highest is a session called Building a Better Culture by Letting People Go, which is an interesting topic. Then we have one on the challenges of free expression that people seem to be interested in. And I think that one probably falls a little bit under both. I'm sure that one will talk about the legal side of that as well, as just what you should and shouldn't say in the office. And then, of course, leave management. That's always a big one for our conference attendees. And then we have one called HR's Leap to Strategic Planner Moving Forward, Refocus the Future. And I think that's just looking forward in general is going to be an important part of this conference. You guys were talking the never normal. I've heard it called the now normal. Of course, before everybody was calling it the new normal. I think we've gotten away from that. But I think looking forward, is key for some of the topics in this conference. So yeah, it seems to be split kind of straight down the middle. And Ira, one of yours, Talent and the Perfect Labor Storm, is one of the higher selected sessions. And I know obviously hiring and recruitment and talent are big issues right now for the HR professionals, for sure. So I'm not surprised to see that in there.
And yeah, it's interesting. And the topic is about culture, purpose, employee experience, if I can talk, talking about all those things. One of the part that just came out yesterday, I think I just shared it on LinkedIn, MIT Sloan study. And it talked about, why people leave, and people are leaving because of a toxic company culture. And that could be the boss, it could be the people, it could be the policies, it could be everything rolled up into one.
Sure.
But while everybody's throwing money at the problem, we're going to increase wages, we're going to get more benefits, we're going to talk about flexibility. The toxic a company culture was what was it, 10 times? I don't remember the number, but it was significant. It's like 10 times had a 10 times greater impact than the money.
Surprising.
So people were throwing money to fix the problem, or even having that flexible workplace, which is really significant. But I believe that the company culture was 3 times more, had 300% more impact than even a flexible workplace. So, so relevant. I know I'm doing one of the keynotes. We're going to be talking about Reimagine Your Tomorrow. We're going to talk about, the mix between what are some of the skills that people need to keep up, and also company culture. What's that environment look like? What are some of the key dimensions that companies can measure? But I know there's another keynote, an opening keynote. There's actually two other keynotes.
There are, yes.
You can talk about those.
Sure. So, as mentioned, you're doing the opening keynote on the last day of the conference, May 6th. So we're excited for that. On May 5th, the opening keynote is called the Joy Powered Organization. And that's by Jody Curtis and Jeremy York. They're both with Purple Inc. And it's just kind of, in looking at the description, it's about the people being the heart of every organization. And they're the ones carrying out the initiatives and talking to customers. But and this kind of goes a little bit to what you were just talking about, Ira, with what you shared on LinkedIn. Organizations still struggle to build strong people cultures and create policies and procedures that focus on developing their people. And this kind of talks about how this session is going to focus on people want to find joy in their work and be part of an organization that makes them feel valued. And these days, if they are not feeling that, then they may not be staying as long as I think they would have before. So that's what that keynote is going to be talking about. And that, as I mentioned, is the opening keynote on May 5th. And then our third keynote is the HR Awards Luncheon that's taking place on May 6th. And the keynote on that is called Becoming a Belonging Leader. And that's Trisetta Briggs from Performance 3. And she's going to talk about diversity. It's about, in this dynamic keynote, she's going to help you understand where to start to become a leader who can harness belonging for individual and organizational success. And again, create a culture where everybody has the opportunity to grow. So lots of culture in our keynotes this year, which I think is a good thing.
And it's really good. Oh, sorry, Ira, go ahead.
I was just going to say, just so everyone knows, along the bottom of the screen, if you want more information, you can go to Indiana HR Conf, CONF. For those that are just listening, it's indianahrconf.com to get more information about the speakers and to register and fees and all that sort of stuff. Go ahead, Jason.
Well, I was just going to say, for anyone listening who's thinking, well, we probably already know how to do this stuff. We already know how to have a great culture. There was just a survey that came out showing that 3/4 of American managers, people that are in manager and supervisor positions, 3/4 of them in the U.S. said that they're ready to use stick tactics on their direct reports to get them to come back to work.
Oh,
so
how that's going to work out,
right? Yeah. So it's like, no, actually what we need to do is work on upskilling manager and supervisor skills so that you can equip your teams wherever they're working to do their best work. And, to me, that's kind of what you were sharing there, Jennifer. These topics and these themes is still evident. We still have a long way to go in
Mhm.
figuring this out, but we're not going to put this stuff back in Pandora's box. People now moving forward are going to desire and want that flexibility of how they think about work in their lives and how they do their best work, and just sticking to the old industrial age norms of you come in and you do your 9 to 5, you punch in and you punch out. We've moved beyond that. And so we have to have these wonderful conventions and conferences offering training in these areas, because we still do have a long way to go. We do have several organizations that are getting it right, but unfortunately, we still have more organizations that are struggling and leaning back or falling back into old habits of how they manage people, instead of thinking about these new skills that they need to add to their toolbox of how to motivate people. And so the themes that you were sharing earlier have me excited that we're going to be equipping a lot of leaders here in Indiana to help lead that way and help lead those teams wherever and however they're working.
When picking up on the same thing, one of the things that we were talking about is, the struggle is whether we go hybrid or remote or back to the office. Jennifer, you made it. The conference this year is going to be all in person. I know
Yes.
you talked about doing maybe offering a digital, and you decided against it. So
Mhm.
talk about some of that decision, why you felt this was necessary, because you've done some other conferences, I believe, that were all in person as well.
Right. Yeah. So we just held a couple weeks ago our largest conference that we have each year, our annual Indiana Safety and Health Conference. That one we chose to do all in person. We want to off. I see how to phrase this. There's nothing better than connecting with people, I think, in person, one-on-one. There is just no substitute for that. As hard as we try, whatever platforms we use, you're just not going to get the same out of an event or a conference if you're doing it virtually than you are in person. And we feel that we're in a space right now where we can offer an in-person event safely, and our attendees can attend and be confident that we have their best interests at heart. And we want to be the convener of people. And some of our smaller conferences that we offer here at the Chamber, seminars, I should say, we're going to continue to offer virtually. But this type of conference with the breakout sessions and the multiple keynotes, not to mention our many exhibitors and sponsors and our Expo that's taking place on May 5th, you just can't get the same out of that you would if you're virtual versus in person. So that was really, we can do it safely, and we think there's value in being in person. So those were our main thoughts behind deciding to offer it just in person.
And for you, Jennifer, is there a particular session that you personally are looking forward to hearing and seeing?
Well, we have, as Ira mentioned, the main sponsor of our conference is one of our local law firms, Frost Brown Todd. We've been partnering with Frost Brown Todd for, it has to be close to 15 years at this point, if it's not there yet. And their speakers are always excellent. And our main contact at Frost Brown Todd is Heather Wilson, and Heather was formerly the office managing partner at Frost Brown Todd, and recently has gone back to just a partner, I should say. And she has one that's really popular whenever we offer it, called Interview with a Plaintiff's Attorney. So often some of our, most of our speakers that are talking about compliance are attorneys who are from the, I guess in most cases, the defendant side, the business side. And she brings in a colleague who usually represents employees in this, in any kind of employment law litigation. And they sit down and kind of do a one-on-one back and forth. And that's always really well received. So I'm looking forward to that one. I think it's going to be good. We're also offering one that's got an ethics bent to it, which we've not really done before. It's one of our workshops on May 4th. It's called Right versus Right in a Post-COVID World, Ethics and Critical Thinking for HR. So that one I think is going to be really interesting, because I think that that's something that anybody that's going to be there on May 4th, that may be kind of for some of our more veteran HR leaders that might be interested in. So yeah, we've got a couple that I think are really going to be well attended and popular. Like I mentioned, we've got one on empathy, which, while some may see that as kind of a soft skill, I think is a really important aspect to a person who works in HR to have. So lots of interest. Oh, and then we've got one on cybersecurity, which is, we offer a cybersecurity session on just about every conference we have, whether it's our environmental conference or energy or tax, because there's just a cybersecurity element in every industry now. So,
and in addition to those sessions, will there also be like certain types of networking events or things that are planned in as well?
We do. We're going to have, thanks for asking. We're going to have at the end of the day on May 5th, I believe, we're going to have a reception. The conference is going to be held at the Indiana Convention Center, which is attached to several hotels, including the Hyatt Regency, which is nice when it's cold outside. So in theory, in May, that won't make a difference. But, for anybody who's in Indiana today, you may have woken up to snow outside, because I did. So if if for some reason there's snow on the ground, it's nice to know you can get there via walkway. But anyway, I digress. May 5th, we're having a reception at the Hyatt Bar Level 1, just an informal reception for any attendee who wants to come. We'll have some drinks and hors d'oeuvres to kind of network and get to know some of your fellow attendees. A couple of things that we're doing new this year in relation to that is we're going to offer kind of what we're calling a mentee type service. What we want to do is we want to pair up our veteran HR professionals with new professionals who are at the conference, kind of a mentor matching, somebody that they can meet and maybe exchange ideas and ask questions, maybe exchange contact information. So if that's something that any of you are interested in participating in on either side, whether you're a veteran professional or new to the industry, you can email my colleague Brittany at the Chamber. And her email, I don't know if you can drop it in the comments, Ira, is bbrown@indianachamber.com. And that's spelled out, all one word. I believe you can probably also find information on that on the conference website that Ira put on the screen. We're also going to have some icebreakers at our general sessions, just on the tables there, really to kind of, may sound silly, but maybe not, to kind of help people readjust back to socializing with other people in person. I think some people may be out of practice with that. So we're going to offer some conversation starters related to industry and not, just to kind of help get some ideas and conversations flowing. And then my favorite thing actually that we're offering that I'm really excited about is we're going to have what we're calling an idea share wall. And it's literally going to be just a big board where we're going to encourage our attendees we're going to have Post-its and markers, and we want them to write down anything that has influenced them in their field, like podcasts, so like this, for example, or books, websites, inspirational quotes, HR words of wisdom, things like that. We're going to have them write those down and slap it up on the idea share wall, and then we're going to compile all of that and share all of that information with our attendees after the conference. So maybe, to give them just a little bit more, a few more nuggets of information that they might find helpful after they leave the conference.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Ira, you're on.
Muted, Ira.
Hopefully I've got the right email.
bbrown@indianachamber.com. That is correct. So if anybody wants to participate in the mentor matching, just email Brittany and let her know.
Okay. I still have some listening skills. If I learn how to take my mute off when I mute myself. We just have a few minutes here that are left. Jason, maybe you can give a lead in. I know we're doing our no BS workplace session. Give maybe your version of that, and I can fill in any blanks. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll be thrilled to be there co-presenting Ira on the No BS workplace. And the BS stands for Burnout and Stress. Now, we know that there's no such thing as a workplace that doesn't have any level of burnout and stress. But the key is, are we creating an adaptable environment? And are we equipping people to be adaptable too? So that regardless of the circumstances and the things that happen, that people can still feel great about the work they're doing and be productive. And at the end of the day, delivering value for companies. And so we're going to talk about the never normal, Ira, that you talk about all the time, and how people don't just survive in difficult times, and businesses don't just survive, but we actually thrive. That you take that to innovate better and become more adaptable and become stronger. And so we're excited. And Ira, what are some key points of that piece that you want to share with everybody?
No, thanks, Jason. Yeah, I'm really excited about this and excited about working with you. And also, Jennifer, there's a few conferences. I've gone to many conferences. I've spoken at hundreds of different conferences in different places. Indiana's become home. I've been there for a couple of years, and I go there, and it's nice to walk. Again, being back in person because we did the one virtual.
Right.
It's nice to walk back and see familiar people and familiar places, and as a Pennsylvanian, it gets me allows to go out. So there's a handful, less than a handful, I can tell you, that every year I make sure that I can get there. And in the Indiana HR conference is certainly one of them. What are some of the things? It's not going to be a 3-hour lecture. Jason and I have really a fun day set up for you. There's going to be some exercises. We have a challenge for you that we go through. We're going to be talking about the 4 dimensions that you talk about, Jason. Of creating that type of a people forward network of how do you create that no BS workplace. We'll be talking about some of the elements of the environment that need to be set up, and this crosses over. This is going to be really a setup for both my presentations, but also all of them that talk about company culture and purpose and the experience of how does one of the weakest parts of most organizations is they may, even if they like their coworker and their supervisors, in almost every survey we do, the people don't feel that the company, the senior management, has their back. And how do we change that? What are some of the elements? On the same time, as sometimes it's a great culture, and I love the topic about sometimes you need. I'm going to bastardize this topic, but sometimes you need to get rid of some of the people in your culture.
Right.
Going back to that toxic culture, and sometimes you hire the right. Sometimes you hire the right people, and management screws it up, and other times you're not hiring people that are willing to change. They just want a paycheck. They want to come in. And that's not good enough, especially if you hire other people who are looking for more. They're looking for that experience. They're looking to have that community and that positive culture. So we're going to be talking about all those things. Obviously, a lot to cover in just a few hours, but there's going to be a lot of follow-up themes, and hopefully we'll be able to energize the group and find some interest in that. But it's a great lineup. We're really excited about it. And even though you didn't deliberately pick a theme, it seems the theme this year is creating this people first, people forward organization, whether it's through better regulation and compliance, or whether it's through helping people adapt to the never normal, or whether it's creating a better management approach, a better leadership style. So it all flows together, and I'm really excited to be there. Any final comments or anything? We've got I'm going to put the banner back up again and let everybody know if they're interested. They could go to Indiana HR Conf. It's IndianaHRConf.com to get some information. Final word there, Jennifer.
Jennifer, real quick before you share some final words, is there a final deadline?
No.
When people would need to register by? No? Okay.
Not at all. Not at all. They can walk in that day and we will be ready for them.
Perfect.
They can register anytime between now and then and show up that day. Like I said, it's at the Indiana Convention Center in downtown Indianapolis. So shouldn't be too hard to find us.
Perfect. May 4th through 6th.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Excellent. Well, thanks, Jennifer. Thanks for being part of this. Thanks for sharing the information. Can't wait to see you again.
No,
hard to believe. It always seems like it's months, so far away.
Right.
We're planning these and applying, submitting our proposals and our applications.
Right.
And but I appreciate certainly being selected, and look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, no, we're happy to have you back. Thank you so much. And Jason, it was great to meet you too. I'm looking forward to meeting you in person.
Likewise, Jennifer. We'll see you in a few weeks.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
See you. And let me. So we, Jason, we're going to just sign off here.
Perfect. I'm Jason Cochran. We want to thank our listeners, Googlization Nation, for tuning in today. If you haven't subscribed on your favorite podcast platform, please do so and also drop us a review.
And I'm Ira Wolfe. Thank you for being part of Googlization Nation. Hope to see everyone who's listening out at the Indiana HR conference, May 4th to 6th. Until then, don't let the shift hit your plans.